Hey friend, if you are new to Quail and you are trying to figure out the best system for watering and for feeding your baby chicks, then today's video is going to be just for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the Leanstead, and if you're like me, you are in the midst of a whole bunch of different projects. Everything going on behind me is anything from planting new starts to organizing all of our quail supplies. And I recently came across a really good quail chick waterer that I'm very happy with, and I have clearly gone through a lot of different ones. So in today's video, I am going to share with you ones that I've used in the past, problems that I've had with those, and the solution that I finally have found and I can highly recommend today. So let's start with back in the day when we were first getting started on our homestead, and this was in mid-March of 2020, and I don't have to tell you what the world was like at that time. Everybody was in a bit of a panic, and we panic purchased our first set of chicks and didn't really know exactly what we were going to put them in. So we had a small dog crate that we started off with, and I think we got a waterer and a feeding apparatus of some sort from Tractor Supply when we bought the chicks. And soon after that, we purchased a starter kit for a brooder from Premier One Fencing Supplies. And this is the waterer that came with that kit. And the first thing I want you to notice is that underneath the waterer, there is a gap. There's quite a bit of space there. And the second day we had this waterer, and I was putting it back inside the brooder, I somehow managed to catch a baby chick underneath the waterer. I was really upset when I left for work and it appeared that we were down one chick. I didn't know what had happened to it. I assumed that our cat had gotten it. I was really upset about that and a little bit anxious because we started out with maybe 4 baby chicks, chicken chicks. Then while we were out that day, we were planning to go buy another Tractor Supply. And as we started calling around, we realized that everybody was scooping up all the baby chicks that they could find everywhere quickly. So we called several Tractor Supply places. That's the only place I knew to go to look for chicks. And we found one store that had about 6. So we went and we bought everything that they had and came home. And as we were putting the new chicks in and I was putting in fresh water, I reached in and picked up this waterer to take it out and realized that that's where that baby chick had been for like an 8-hour day. So be really careful, whatever waterer or feeder that you're using, when you put something down inside your brooder or wherever you have them, that you don't catch any little critters underneath your waterer. So the other thing about this waterer that has been a struggle more recently than in the beginning, because in the beginning it was pretty secure. It's 2-part and there's no threading. It just pops on quickly, easily. It washes up easily. However, when you have filled the top portion and you go and you put the base on it, it helps if you stick it in the middle of the sink and hold it down. But if you're not careful when you turn that back over, the weight of the water hitting the bottom here, if it is not securely fastened on there, you will flood your chicks. And I have done it to chicken chicks, and I have done it to baby quail as well. And it was really, really frustrating. So I like this one, but you have to be really, really careful if you are using that, regardless of whether it's with quail or with chickens. The other thing too, with quail that makes this not so great is that the watering, the trough area is pretty wide here. So if you're not careful, quail chicks will unalive themselves and drown in that. And baby chicks, chicken chicks as well, you need to be careful about that. So one solution for that is to fill that trough up with either rocks. I have used marbles in the past because I can put one marble in and just line it all the way around, and the chicks can still get to enough water but not be totally submerged in the water in that trough. So that is one waterer that I have used, and I like the size of it. I just don't like that danger. So then over the years, I have bought a couple of other waterers. I bought another base for a quail waterer that has a narrower water trough area that I really liked, but it cracked very easily because I was able to use it with a mason jar, and when I twisted it on, it just went on too far and cracked the base. So that is a danger. Then over the years, I have bought multiple different bases for, some say that they will work with a mason jar, and some work with these quart-sized jars, which sometimes are not all exactly a quart, but they do seem to have pretty standard openings. So they work well typically with different types of waterers and feeders as well. So this is one that I have had a long time. I'm pretty sure that it came from Tractor Supply years ago. I do like it because it works, it screws on easily with the plastic quart-sized jar, and it also will work with a mason jar. However, this one, I don't think that this was a flaw that I noticed immediately or initially, but if you go to tighten it too much, it gives and you're not able to completely get it to tighten. And it just seemed like it leaked too much just recently when I went to use it with the quail. Again, this is another issue where in this, I had to put a lot of marbles, like basically 2 layers all the way around in order to keep our chicks from drowning. So I was not pleased about that. This one is one that I've bought pretty recently. It claims to be a screw-on waterer base to work with a 1 quart jar. However, this is almost impossible to get on. It's not threaded. None of these are threaded like they look like they would work with a screw-on jar, but this one especially, just it is extremely difficult. You have to do a bit of twisting and turning and then pushing down. I mean, it has been a pain. So I just don't recommend this one at all. The brand of this one is called Country Road, and I think it is sold by one of the major box stores for farming supplies. I'm not going to mention any names, but I would stay away from this one. I just can't recommend that one. And then I finally, after, I've probably gone into 5 or 6 different Tractor Supplies, Ace Hardwares, any place that I could think of that might have any kind of quail supplies. And finally found this base, which is a Little Giant brand, which is made by Miller Manufacturing. And it is a legit quail water base. And see, it is so small that like I can't even get a marble to go in there. So it is wonderful for that. And I purchased it along with some of the quart-sized jars. Some of these jars are a little bit different, but it has worked with that one. I think that's the one I purchased it with. This is one that we have had for a while, and it works really well with that. It snugs on nicely. The mason jar also will fit on there, but one of the things that I have experienced and noticed other people talking about is that sometimes with the mason jars, when you put those on, the headspace or the lip portion of this is somehow taller than what the plastic jar is. So what happens is when you go to put that on there, if you're not careful, if you snug it up really tight, then the water just won't come out the bottom. So Michael was telling me that somebody recently was sharing that they actually cut the top of their jars somehow. I'm not that brave because I love glass, but I'm not going to cut it. So I'm going to stick with the plastic jars and the bases. So you better know that when I found this watering base, I purchased almost every one that they had. So if you happen to be in a certain county in Alabama, I'm sorry. I did leave two. I left two in the store, but I came home with all that I could manage without feeling too guilty. Because like I said, I did leave two just in case somebody else needed one. But I will be ordering more of these. They are available on Amazon, so I will link those in the description of this video. And like I said, cannot recommend it highly enough. Another trick that I don't know why it took me so long to try to figure this out, but in order to keep the water from filling up with pine shavings, if you're using pine shavings in your brooder, then take a block of wood or a raised surface of some sort. I used a piece of a 2x4 and just use it as a base for the water to keep it up out of the pine shavings, and it has really helped to keep the water inside the little trough, and it gets in the quail and not all in the pine shavings. So anyway, that is my find for the week. I am still working on finding just the right feeder for our brooder, but when I find that one, I will certainly share it. But I am super thrilled with the Little Giant Quail Waterer. Love the size, love the durability. It's very hard plastic, and it fits and goes on to the plastic jars very easily. And again, like I said, it will fit the mason jar. I'm just not sure how well the flow of water would be from that. So I'm sticking with the quart-sized jars, and I hope you guys will give it a try. If you have found a waterer or a feeder that you are super thrilled with, I would love for you to share it in the comments below, because we all need a little help, and I definitely would like a little input on finding the very best feeder now that I have the watering situation taken care of. So that's it for today. We'll get back with you guys soon. Hopefully we will have another batch of eggs pipping in about 48 hours. So we are excited to see that, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Have a blessed one.